Welcome to the WP-Tonic This Week in WordPress and SaaS podcast, where Jonathan Denwood interviews the leading experts in WordPress, e-learning, and online marketing to help WordPress professionals launch their own SaaS.
Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic Roundtable Show. This is episode 898. Oh, my godfathers. We've got a great show this month, but we're going to be doing two shows, actually. But got a great special panel. We've got some great stories. It should be really entertaining. I'm going to be discussing me and Kurt's interview with Matt Mullenweg last week. Plus, we're going to be talking about Adobe abandoning their purchase of Figma. We're going to be talking a little bit about Cole Hancock, the owner of Gravity Forms, and it should just be a great show. We've got some great topics. I've also got a great panel. I'm going to let the panel quickly introduce themselves. First of all, I've got Kim Coleman from Paid Membership Pro. So, Kim, would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Kim Coleman. I started my WordPress career building websites, and that evolved into Paid Memberships Pro, which I've been supporting for over 13 years now. So it's pretty exciting. And we have another WooCommerce flash sales product also called Site-Wide Sales.
We've got the infamous but great Matt Medeiros from Gravity Forms. You got to watch the video. He's got all the WordPress gear. He looks a bit grim as well. I haven't upset him already.
I'm just preparing for today's conversation. That's just mentally preparing for your questions and commentary. Matt Medeiros, you can find me at gravityforms.com and the WPminute.com.
I won't worry about me. I think you got to worry about Jeff. That's what you got to worry about. We've got Jeff Chandler from Stellar WP. Jeff, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm a marketing generalist for Stellar WP, resident troublemaker on this show. And if you tint, I'm using Flux on my monitor, so it makes things a little orange and yellow. Matt looks like a Wapoo. But yeah, for Stellar WP, learn dash, remember dash. Just because Kim's on the show.
Oh, fair enough. I'm not going to comment. I'm in enough trouble already. We've got my co-host, Kurt. Kurt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Kurt von Ahnen. I run a company called Mañana No Mas. I also work directly with Lifter LMS and WP-Tonic. And it's good to have everyone here. This is awesome.
That's great. Before we go into the meat and potatoes of this great discussion, I've got a couple of messages from our major sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
Tired of hosting providers that can't handle high traffic loads? Conversio is here to help. Our platform can handle any amount of traffic, all without slowdown or crashing. With immediate Slack support, performance optimization, and a team that thrives on resolving technical challenges, your e-commerce business is in safe hands. Learn more about Conversio at conversio.com.
Are you looking for ways to make your content more engaging? Sensei LMS by Automattic is the original WordPress solution for creating and selling online courses. Sensei's new interactive blocks can be added to any WordPress page or post. For example, interactive videos let you pause videos and display quizzes, lead generation forms, surveys, and more. For a 20% off discount for the tribe, just use the code WP-Tonic, all one word, when checking out and give Sensei a try today.
We're coming back, folks. Also want to point out that we've got some great deals and a curated list of the best WordPress plugins and services. And like I say, some great deals from the sponsors. You can find all these goodies by going over to wp-tonic.com/deals. wp-tonic.com/deals. And you'll find all the goodies there. What more could you ask for? Probably a lot more, but that's all you're going to get from that particular page. There we go. So let's go straight into it. So we had a bit of a discussion with the great leader, Matt Mullenweg. It was quite interesting. I think he dealt with me the way I should be treated with the, it's quite impressive, really. But I thought it was also a good discussion. So, Jeff, what were a couple of the main things that you got from the interview, if you did get a couple of things from it?
So I have to admit something. I have not yet seen the interview.
Oh,
I'm sorry. However, I will say that based on discussions of Matt on this show, and
you're a naughty boy. Yeah.
Hey, what I said I'm a resident troublemaker.
My ego has been damaged.
I said I was a resident troublemaker, but however, I do think it's very respectable for Matt to ask you to be on your show and to have those types of discussions. So I will say that.
All right, this hope Matt actually to it. We were having some problems. I also want to point out, Matt, that the other Matt, the great leader, he got all the questions in advance. He asked for the questions in advance, and I gave them to him. So I do give him credence in still coming on. What did you make of it, Matt?
I mean, I felt bad that Kurt had to sit there and, be in the middle of this conversation with Eric.
Well, it was a conversation, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was a great conversation. Like Jeff, Corey from PostAS and I recently had a conversation about this as well. It's great that he's making the rounds. I think this show, WP-Tonic, has been especially critical of Matt's work, borderline poking fun at Matt, to put it politely, at times. So I really commend Matt for stepping up. I thought your conversation was great. I thought the questions were great. Like everything else, Matt is a fluent communicator, so he knows how to really approach these subjects and take a lot of that what I'll call passion out of our questioning and sort of distill it down to a much more zen, somber moment of responses. And he did that quite well. I thought it was fantastic. It was good that he's making the rounds and sort of addressing the community.
That's very diplomatic, Matt. I don't actually
listen. So let me frame it from when I had my conversation with Mullenweg a few years ago, and I was on this podcast afterwards. You and the great Spence said that I was too soft on Matt, and I didn't see any once you have the person in front of you, it's a totally different game. Again, this goes back to giving some kudos to Matt on Twitter, on podcasts. When Matt isn't in front of you, it's very easy to, be harsh, to be outright, negative to the chat. I'm not saying that you were, but it's easy for folks to take those shots. But when he's in front of you, it's a totally different ballgame. And especially when, he's giving you an hour of time. So fantastic that he's doing it. Fantastic that you had him on. It's great for the ratings.
Yeah. I felt the only thing, Matt, is that I thought this when he started. First of all, the thing you didn't see was the beginning before we went live, because I was taken aback. Actually, Matt, he was extremely animated and passionate about. He actually said to us that this is his life work. And he's totally dedicated, and he got extremely animated. Was you were surprised by it, weren't you, Kurt?
Yeah, it was. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to be transparent. When he first did it, it was like, okay, what act is this? Where is this coming from? But then I think it took maybe 30, 40 seconds for me to realize, oh crap, this is real. I don't have any reason to believe he was disingenuous in the way he portrayed himself, his opinions, or his ideas. And even though we prepped him with questions, the follow-up questions and the asking for clarification and the, I find your answer infuriating, Matt. That was all legit. That was all on the fly, and he took it very, very well. I thought he was a great guest. I really enjoyed the experience.
Right. So, Kim, let's get to the nitty gritty, as we say in the UK. And I'm English, Matt. So my position is to take the mickey out of people, Matt, and people can take the mickey out of me. Because if you're handing some mickey out, you've got to get some mickey back, haven't you? So Kim, let's get to the nitty gritty of the interview. First of all, are you going to be in my good books? Did you actually listen to the interview?
I did listen. I promise.
Right, you get a gold.
It wasn't my favorite interview to listen to because I have my own experiences recently with Matt Mullenweg coming after a person who's very important to me. So it's hard for me to listen to him speak lately, I'll say.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to tell me who that person is, aren't you? But first of all, let's get to the nitty gritty. So do you think the people, because obviously Matt and the co-founder of WordPress, they've contributed a lot of time, effort, and built something, but it wasn't done in a vacuum. It was done with the support of hundreds, thousands of volunteers that in the early days built an open source project that allowed Matt then to go through his private company to go and get $900 million of investment from Silicon Valley VCs. I wish him well. I hope he does really well, and I hope it benefits, everybody can benefit from it. But do you think those people would have been so eager to have contributed to WordPress if they'd known that? Because it's only my personal view is that the kind of ethos of open source, to have a philosopher king, isn't really what they bought into, Kim.
Yeah, I mean, the people who do the volunteering, like a lot of people I see who get very upset about, like recent things like the tweet and the bridge and all that stuff. Like the people who get upset about that are, to me, like they're in it because of the community, because of their passion for volunteering, the friends they've made, the experiences they've had. And I think it's very foreign to them to understand commercialized open source or to understand like people who want to make money and get rich. Like, it's like, those are two different things. Some people are absolutely like deeply passionate and, are okay with struggling, are okay with not making money. And then when money gets involved, they get really like, oh, I thought we were doing this, just out of the goodness of our hearts. And, the more we can realize that Matt's interests are not to do it out of the goodness of his heart at this stage and to become a wealthy man and to create wealth for himself. And, even though he's charitable, he's going to have generational wealth when he passes, wherever that goes. So I think we need to open our eyes to that and be comfortable when the commercial side pops out.
Yeah, I've got no problem with it. My problem is it's all murky. It's all mixed up into a bit of a witch's brew, really, Kim. That's my problem with it. I wish him well. I don't want him not to be part of WordPress. So, Jeff, so Bridge, I call it Bridgegate and I call it Sarigate. I call it, that's what I call it. Like I put to him, I kind of see him late at night, and he, in some way it makes him more human, but in other ways, the power dynamics, I have concern about the power dynamics because you've got somebody that's got enormous more power really publicly coming for you, even though you might be me, a pain in the arse. Was you concerned about the power dynamics of it all?
The whole this bridge issue, Bridgegate, as you called it, opened up a can of worms all over the place. First of all, what Matt does, I know he's been a big fan of the art project that the bridge is for a long time. If he could tweet that on his personal account, that's fine. The problem is using the WordPress.org Twitter account to advocate donating to a project that's an art installation for a bridge. That crossed the line with a lot of people. We always knew that Matt could do whatever he wanted, but he's held that power. He's abstained from using that power up until this tweet, essentially, from what I can remember. And it didn't sit well with a lot of people, and they felt like he went above the board and above whatever rules that the marketing team and other teams have set up. And so it was kind of interesting to see him actually use that card where he could say, I didn't agree to these rules and I own the account and I could do what I want when I want. And so that was interesting. But it also translated into this lengthy set of discussions where he admitted that he wasn't okay and he was upset that he got banned from a particular WordPress community Discord. In fact, it stung him so much that he's still bringing it up. And there was just all this different talk and conversation about Matt. And all I could say is that I know he's on sabbatical and he'll be gone away for a few months. And I hope that brings him back into a better place, a better mindset. And every time that these sorts of things happen, the people in the community, the people who are passionate, the people who were upset, they become collateral damage and it does more harm than good overall.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Jeff, but I'm in a very tricky situation because some of the people that have been most active in going for Matt, I consider them, they're not friends of mine. They've come for me. They have slandered me quite a lot. And I think they're driven by extreme left-wing ideology and they're not good players. But I have also criticisms of Matt. And it's a shame, really, because in some ways, I think I did agree with what you and Corey was saying about this WordPress drama thing, Matt, because that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing a weekly roundtable show, because I think, and I got to take responsibility for it, Matt. I think it became quite toxic, and I regret it a bit, Matt. And he also played kind of English, kind of private eye, kind of satire. It kind of fed into that, but I realised I needed to back off from it. Like some of these people. So when it came to your discussion, I think the problem is, I think a lot of people, I'm not happy with him saying that he's the philosopher king, but I think when you were discussing it with Corey, is that the idea of what happened to Drupal and Joomla, this kind of committee, is also a nightmare. Is there not a middle road though, Matt?
So I try to distill down to two paths with Mullenweg. It's the product guy and the community guy. And I try to see it in those two lanes where I can appreciate the work of the product in WordPress. Even if I don't, look, no one's ever going to be happy about the new feature that launches in Paid Memberships Pro. People are like, oh, well, why did you launch that? I wanted something else. The product, you'll always have these disagreements, and they're healthy disagreements, and you should. You can't do everything, and that's totally fine. On the community side, on that leadership side, this is, when he wakes up in the morning, he says, look what I've built for you all. Please accept that and let me do my thing. This is 20 years of stress and dealing with other humans that is boiling over at this point. And it's from the days of Jetpack and his qualms with, I was trying to remember the guy's name, I can't remember it, of the thesis author.
Oh yeah, it's Chris. Chris.
We've seen this. We've seen countless outbursts and these moments. So if Matt was a saint, I'm not saying everyone can be, but if Matt was a saint and he made that post about the bridge, nobody would say anything. We're like, come on, Matt. Hey, that's our account. But this is a domino effect of years of real head scratching decision making, lack of communication, and an unappreciation for the community that we are. And when he says, why is everybody being so harsh? I mean, it's because you're the leader. You're the guy in the front. And we are all looking up to you, and we see this stuff, and it's just not good, right? And I think what we have to do is hold the next level of leadership more accountable. And that doesn't mean like, hey, do something about it, but it's communicate with them more. This is open source. I try to frame this in the same issues that Matt has with, let's say, like GoDaddy. GoDaddy, and he talks about how hosting companies have billions and billions of more dollars than Automattic because of WordPress. GoDaddy could take $500 million a year and slide in, I don't know how many developers that gets you. 25, 30, 40, I don't know, more, whatever the number is, and push in a large chunk of commitment to WordPress core, more than Automattic. I wrote about this before too. If they committed that amount of resources and code into WordPress core, we'd have a totally different ballgame, which is what Matt has said before. Hey, if you want to make money and profit with WordPress, how about you commit more time, 5 for the future, all this stuff? Well, what if GoDaddy did that and brought 100 developers in to the circle?
I disagree. I see where you're coming from, Matt, but I disagree because it came up in the interview. I think, and this because you're overlapping two parts of the problem. The problem is, well, the way I see it, and I try to put it to him, it's Gutenberg. And the idea that something like Gutenberg can be stretched over 10 years, there's a good chance we're all going to be bloody dead the way the world's going before this bloody Gutenberg.
But that's the product side. That's the product side.
Right, yeah, but it's all mixed up in a witch's brew, though, Matt. It's all overlapping, right? And throwing more developers at that, as I agreed with him, to a certain degree, throwing more resources, more developers, probably will not make the situation better. But what I didn't say to him, because we were running out of time, is that I didn't see that as the problem with Gutenberg. The problem with Gutenberg was the way it was managed and the way it wasn't managed and the way it wasn't given any leadership, in my opinion. Right. That's the problem. And the people that were running it, that was the problem. They were out there over their skis. They were out, that was the problem, Matt, in that bit.
Yeah. Well, bringing in developers is the same way I see like bringing in the community. If we have issues, you have to pick your, I don't know, this is just me, but you just have to pick your battles. The bridge thing is not a thing that I'm going to stand, like this isn't anything for me in the WordPress side. Yeah. It's just going to be a distraction. I get it. People want to jump on, whatever the marketing guidelines and all of this stuff. That is not something that's really going to move. You have to always be thinking, how can I move WordPress forward with this stuff? And I look at it as, if I'm going to have an issue, I'm not going to say, hey, Matt, what are we doing with this? I'm going to say, hey, Josepha, what are we doing with this? And then is there a level below that, right?
Josepha.
In other words, can we just ignore him? Right? And I don't mean this like maliciously, but I mean it in a way of like, there's a democratic process. If there's a true democratic process here, can we just go to Josepha with these issues or the next level down, right? I want to interview Angela Jin to talk about this incident response team, which I had no idea about. So if there's layers, one, I want to help expose and educate folks that expose it to the world is that, hey, we have these things here. Do we really need him? And if we just ignored him, could he just go away a little bit? Maybe
this was the main point I really disagreed in your discussion with Corey. This idea that Josepha is going to be some white knight and it's going to come in and control Matt and clean the act up. It's pie in the sky as far as I'm concerned. She works for Automattic. She's paid by Automattic. Nice lady, wish her well. Got no grievance personally against her at all. But the idea that she's going to be an independent voice and a moderator is just pie in the sky, Matt.
If you're not getting the change from Matt, where else do you go? Right? Well, if you're not getting the change there, then you have to press against the boundaries that we have as a WordPress community, politely, humanely, as Corey said, and as I say. I'm just going through the proper channels. And if that's not going to work, then this is the start of everyone realizing what we have here. And I said this 4 years ago. I actually predicted it would be happening by now, that you're going to WordPress.org soon, and WordPress.org is going to say, download WordPress with Jetpack powered by WordPress.com. And then in fine print below that, it will say, download the free zip. And that's where we're moving. We're going to move into a world where .org is branded by .com with a heavy umbrella that says, if you want the best way to experience WordPress, you bring it to WordPress.com with Jetpack. And then if you are a geeky developer who wants to tinker on your own, down in the fine print in 9-point font, you'll download WordPress. And that's the world we're going to move into. And everyone either has to fight for a better chance or accept the fact that WordPress is Automattic, and then we got this cool little open source project that we can play with. And that's where we're going to live. I'm not rooting for that outcome, but just looking at
you might be right.
That's where it's going to go.
I'm going to put this to Jeff because I know he's going to have to go soon. So, Jeff, Matt might be right here, but I think there's a better solution here. I'm just going to quickly outline it to you and then get your response, right? I think Matt, the great leader, should be chairman of both WordPress.org and he's the CEO of Automattic, and he should be the chairman of the umbrella for life if he wants it, right? But the CEO of WordPress.org needs to be an independent individual, she or he. There should be a committee there should be some form of election. That person should run everything. They could have a period of 5-10 years. And Automattic should make heaps of money out of WooCommerce. And building a competitor to Shopify should satisfy Automatic's investors quite coherently. And building a good environment is really, for WordPress.org and Automattic, it works for both. So I really don't really see why there has to be all this angst and argument, and just need some clear boundaries, does it not, Jeff?
Sounds a bit like you're describing what was supposed to be the WordPress governance project, where you'd have different layers of different people, and there'd be committees, there'd be votes, there'd be all kinds of stuff. But for all the effort that was put into that by volunteers, it kind of got squashed because if you don't get buy-in from Matt, what's even the point? It's just wasted energy, wasted time. But and then there's the flip side. I know we would like to have an independent person and all of that, but without Automattic's financial support, running WordPress.org and running the project and running everything that's associated with it costs millions of dollars. And where's those millions of dollars going to come from? It's going to come from Automattic. So I don't know I don't know how we get to that point of an independent person or independent company or separating WordPress from Automattic. It's just one and the same, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Well, you utilize the model of Firefox. Firefox has a number of different ways. It's a foundation. It gets loads of money from different sources. WordPress.org, if it did have somebody, I'm saying the committee would be leading, as Corey pointed out. It should have a strong element from the agencies. It should have other leading players in it. But you elect one person that controls it, so you don't end up with what happened with Drupal and Joomla. You end up a committee running things. A committee is supposed to be in the background to final supervision if it's required, but that you have a CEO that runs things. What do you reckon, Kim?
I've got to run, and I enjoy I got to run, but I enjoyed this show. But I'm wondering, why didn't you just change the show to WP Toxic, and then you could have kept the roundtable show?
All right, Jeff.
All right, see you everybody. I'm sure I'll be invited back soon.
I'll just say that I think that where I see next stages going is like business owners, large business owners like Carl Hancock, and this can lead into our next thing, like my husband Jason and myself, like Chris Badgett at Lifter LMS, need to get together and have their own kind of conversation about what they want from the WordPress community, because they're also running businesses like Matt. They're in those hybrid positions. They are doing commercial open source and making a profit, but they're linked to what happens with WordPress.org pretty deeply. Right now, you can get in a fight with Matt on Twitter and wake up to an email that says your plugin has been removed for you don't know what reason, Exactly. And that is a fear that we sit with. That is a fear we sit with when we decide to speak or not speak, when we decide to say our mind or not say our mind. So I think that if those business leaders get together and talk about what they want the community to look like and become, then we know what we're asking for. And we know what model we want the community to be led by and what vote we want in things.
So Matt, I really like the great leader as a person. We got on really okay. Actually, we did actually. He was up for it. He knew how to handle me. All right. He's got a lot. He's obviously said tons of media training. I haven't. But why is his position? Is it really, really down that if you've got a lot of power, it's really hard to give some of it up?
Automattic is the best steward for WordPress. If it were Salesforce, we'd all be running for the hills, and WordPress wouldn't be, WordPress wouldn't be where it is, right? Without the methodology, the leadership of Matt and Automattic. What I'm trying to get at is separating Matt as the sort of air quotes leader of the product and air quotes leader of the community. Again, when we go back to looking at interior, why does Matt get so much strife from air quotes us? Because of all of the stuff we've seen for a decade plus, right? And at some point, it's like if it's not addressed and we can continue to see outbursts and lack of communication, we all get frustrated. We need him, he needs us. WordPress does not thrive without folks like Kim and us on the panel, building software, educating users, broadcasting media. Then you look at it sort of from the exterior. Why is Matt has to deal with that? Why else is he so angry? He has WordPress.com, he has VIP, he has Jetpack, he has Pocket Cast, he has freaking Tumblr. He just spent $30 million on Text.com because he wanted to have a way for his own personal use for messaging. He has a zillion other things. And by the way, I just migrated a website to WordPress.com. It ain't pretty. So he has, and WooCommerce, Shopify versus WooCommerce. There is an amount of stress I can't even imagine as a business owner and a leader.
I cannot imagine what it must be like. I cannot imagine.
When he told you on that interview that it was a 10-year plan, which might have been like the first time I heard him say that.
That's the first time I heard that one. He kind of pulled that out of his backside, didn't he? I never heard that one before.
To me, that was like one of his therapists or mushroom dealer told him, hey man, just take it slow for a decade and just admit it's going to take some time, because he's got 2,000 people at Automattic and he can't do the same things Kim and I can't do. We can't ship things fast enough. We can't iterate fast enough. Even with 2,000 people or 20 people, you still can't do it. So he's waking up in a world of, just like you brought up, I've got investors yelling at me. I got automaticians yelling at me. I got these people who get this stuff for free yelling at me. And he doesn't know what to do. I'm not saying it's fair what he has, some of the real critical outbursts he's had.
The only thing is, I really like him, but he's brought this on himself, hasn't he?
Well, yes. Yes, I understand that. And what do great leaders do? They put somebody else in the driver's seat and they lift them up. And great leaders get led as well, right? They look to other people to lead them as well. And I don't know where he sits in that Venn diagram of leadership. Like, I'm sure he has great mentors.
You need
But
somebody like Corey Miller or somebody that's got some prior knowledge of Word. You can't just bring somebody in from Automattic and promote them. They just don't have the. I'm looking for the right word, Matt.
It's the same issue that again, it's the same issues that any business has when they remove the founder and then bring in somebody to lead marketing or lead sales. It is an impossible task for somebody to be like me and represent my company and my vision and my product and my customers. It's so hard. So it's not going to be easy. I think Joseph is a pretty good fit right now.
No, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree, but fair enough. But I think that Gutenberg, this is fabulous. Gutenberg, it's made some tremendous progress. I think personally it's going slightly in the wrong direction. I think they should have brought in somebody like Brian Gardner to help them with Gutenberg. Fabulous individual, enormous experience.
I think Matthias and team can do it. I just don't know if they have the freedom to do it, right? Or the flexibility to run it themselves. And I think that's where product versus leadership, Matt has to say, here's my vision, let's execute on this, which I'm sure maybe he's doing inside Automattic, maybe not.
But the thing is, Matt, he's got some fabulous people in the WordPress community that would really help him out and probably would want to help out, but they're not called upon, are they? They're not asked for their advice, and they're not brought in. They're not really brought in, are they?
The tavern is effectively shut down. You don't hear anybody knocking on our doors to publish the news and look to us as.
Well, I think you should. I think it's obvious that if you're prepared to take it up, you should be the editor of the tavern. Or not use Spencer. I'll pay for Spencer Forum to be the editor. I actually contribute for him to be editor. But there's plenty of people. But yeah, it's a shame, really. But. So
it's not only like it's a hard role to fill, it's a hard role to pitch to someone. It's like you can say Brian Gardner. I don't know that he would want that.
No,
role.
he probably would not want.
Yeah. So it's like, that leads back to like the experiences we've had over the last 10 years for anyone high value to feel safe in that role and not like they're going to be someone's puppet. The right person would say no to that role.
All right. Sorry, Kurt, I've left you out this a little bit, but yeah. Sorry. I think it's time we go for our break. We've got some other stories to discuss, or we could continue with this a little bit afterwards. We're going to go for our break, folks. We will be back in a few moments.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
We've come back. We've had a good discussion. I think it's been quite good. I just want to point out, if you're looking for a great WordPress hosting provider, especially if you're looking to build a learning management system for a client or a Buddy Boss website, why don't you look at WP-Tonic? We specialize in the hosting support. We offer a great package for the WordPress professional. You can find more about our partner scheme by going over to wp-tonic.com/partners, wp-tonic/partners. We'd love you to become part of the WP-Tonic tribe. Please do that. Well, so Kurt, I thought the other thing was, what really interested me was the criticism that Kevin Gary got by pointing out the obvious around Gutenberg. People saying he's got his own book of business. Yeah, he has. I have. You have. Kim has. Matt here has. we all got our book of business. We're all promoting something. Why do you think, Kevin's passionate and he's a bit scary, actually. He's a martial arts trainer. I had to watch what I was saying when I was interviewing him. He is, but why do you think Kevin got so much grief about stating the obvious in the way?
There's not a really simple, politically correct way to answer the question, I don't think, Jonathan. There's there's the whole community of WordPress that uses WordPress, and a huge portion of that has nothing to do with the community that we talk about, like on the show. There's a couple of handfuls of vocal people that have opinions, that throw bricks that live in glass houses and things like that. I'm the last person to comment on how somebody else is making money in the WordPress world, because I'm struggling to build an agency right here in Kansas myself and make more money. We're all in that position, and it comes with all of those sensitive topics. It could be diversity, it could be the pride parties, it could be the Matt and his bridge with the lights, it could be someone making money off the system. We have these talks about open source and how it thrives on contributions, but some of the people that make the biggest contributions also have other channels where they make a considerable amount of income. And to try and criticize them or hold them to some weird standard, like you shouldn't be able to make, 7 figures or 8 figures because we want you to be more humble, that doesn't hold true. If you ask any human how much money is too much money to make, it's generally 15 to 20% more than that person makes. So that number is fluent. It goes everywhere. So I don't pay attention to it.
No, so Kim, I think, the Philosopher King, I think I'm going to call back the Philosopher King there. It's just, don't take it, folks. I like the guy. I'm just a piss taker. It comes with me. There's no harm in me. I'm not a vicious person. I don't think I am. Maybe I'm a bastard. I don't know. Sorry. Who knows? It's for others to judge, isn't it? What I agreed with the interview, the only problem with all these page builders, and it's the thing I'm getting frustrated, and that's why I pushed about Gutenberg, Kim, is that all these, you run a great plugin and you're with a friend, you and your husband. I thought it's fantastic news when I heard that you were coming be part of the management team of Lift LMS. I was so delighted when I heard that, Kim. Is that this fractalization, and I've got nothing against these page builder people. They're running a business. I wish them well, but the only concern is it's the overhead for the other plugin people. And instead of utilizing energy to make your core of your products really much better, which helps everybody, you've got to support half a dozen page builders, plus try and it's a pain in the posterior, and then he's saying 10 years for Gutenberg, and I thought, you must be joking. Like, I'm not kidding. The way the world's going, there's a good chance we're all going to be blown up and dead before this. So can you see where I'm coming from, Kim?
Yeah. When it was interesting when he said, we talked to the page builders, we told them, you should be building in a Gutenberg way. It was almost like it was a warning. It felt kind of ominous. He was like, if they're not doing it, they're going to get left behind. And it's simply not what we've seen. Half of Paid Memberships Pro sites are using Elementor. Half. So why should my plugin invest development time in the Gutenberg stuff? We should be working on the Elementor stuff. And we're not. We're kind of trying to please all of these people. And then another auction builder comes out, and Spectra, all these builders, it's hard for plugins. And when people choose a plugin, they often already have pieces of their WordPress site started. So you do have to pay attention to all the builders. they'll say, "Oh, you don't integrate with Spectra? Okay, I'm going to have to find a different membership plugin." It's insanity.
See, he must be aware of this, Matt. He did. It's obvious in the interview he is, but you can't. But this is why you've had smaller. And then I put to him, because I didn't agree with, when Kevin came on the show, I didn't agree with everything. He says, I don't agree with anything. I don't even agree with half the stuff I come out with.
That's a good position to take.
Right? You're merciless to me, man. You really love putting me in my place, don't you? Right.
The Gutenberg stuff, I'm actually okay with that decision, because for me, it's a hard line in the sand. We're doing this thing. This is the decision I really want to take this project. I think 60% of what he's thinking with Gutenberg has not been said out loud yet. I think there's a big thing happening in his head about the operating system of the web, and he's just doling it out in pieces, which is cool. Whatever. Leveraging that against page builders. Hey, I mean, we all have to zoom out and say this is a business as we're going. But I don't want to address that anymore. I want to switch over to the Kevin Geary stuff. I think why he takes the heat on this, and to pull your term, before we all have a book of business. Yes, we all have a book of business. I think what I don't, and I haven't talked to Kevin just back and forth a few times on Twitter. I think what I don't agree on is having a stake in Bricks with his own product. ACSS or Automattic CSS, which was an interesting little name when Automattic is WordPress. To have a stake in Bricks, but then just like come into the room and be like, WordPress is atrocious. This is terrible. Why are they thinking that way? Without WordPress, there's no Bricks. Without Bricks, there's no WordPress. Sure, we can make that jump, or we can jump that bridge all day long. But don't walk into the WordPress community be like, this thing is all terrible. This is where, that's not, again, I look at leadership, I look at constructive criticism. It doesn't help anybody. I saw him tweet the other days like, hey, this in the handbook is wrong. Somebody needs to fix this. Log into Slack and message someone. Your contribution isn't just throwing it against the wall in Twitter and getting everybody all riled up. Contact the right person. Open up a GitHub ticket or issue. Do something that helps all of WordPress, not just the criticism of this is terrible, our thing is better. Your thing won't exist if WordPress doesn't exist. And that's the issue that I have. And I spend a lot of time analyzing media and how people grow their communities. Page builder people are fanatics in a bad way.
They're bonkers,
so once you can harness, once you can harness the world of how to grow an agency, and my God, this page builder thing is awesome, and you can slap those two things together, you have the recipe for a guy who's building a successful business. But that's just this inertia of like fanaticism is just too harsh of a word, but like,
well, it's getting close to it, isn't it?
Yeah, when you're always like, this is you just rile up the troops, man. Yeah, WordPress thing is terrible. Let's go to this Bricks thing. But does the 6,000 followers that he has know?
Yeah, but there's 2
Bricks is built on.
I'm going to put it to Kim. I do understand where you're coming from, Matt, but first of all, if you're not, unfortunately, on the internet, Kim, unless you're making drama, people like drama to a certain extent. To get every thumbnail on YouTube is, collapse this or disaster this or end of the world's coming, or, and that's how you get clicks.
Gutenberg sucks.
Gutenberg sucks. And unfortunately, sponsors are almost as bad as the influencers, because how many followers have you got? How many downloads do you get for your podcast? How many, you haven't got enough viewers on your YouTube channel. You've only got 12,000, or they're always coming. So, and then they complain, and then sponsors complain when influencers are talking drama all the time. Well, it's the drama that drives the views, the clicks, the downloads. So it's all intertwined. So that's what I'll say to you, Matt. I think he's doing it because he knows that's what promotes his book of business, Matt.
I just had that conversation this morning with a potential sponsor, and they ask about the audience. And I say, I talk to folks who really care about WordPress, the WordPress community, and WordPress business. Do you know that there's a ceiling on that number? I am not WP beginner. I'm not WP mayor. I have a totally different demographic of audience. And when you are attaching yourself to me, you're attaching yourself to that audience. It's not a massive audience. I'm sorry. But it's the decision makers in the WordPress community largely. And if that's the folks you want to reach, that's what I'm here for. But I totally agree with you about if I did Bricks tutorials and I said Bricks was way better than Elementor, I'd be rich.
I'm thinking actually, panel, I'm thinking of changing from WordPress to cat videos.
Yeah.
Because I could trip. I've got a couple of cats. I can get some cats, and I'll make a ton of money on YouTube about cat videos. But there we go. So, Kim, the other thing was, Kim, is that you could tell that you've got these two groups, because I think Kevin is talking to the designer, the small design shop, the 2, maybe 3-person agency, and that hasn't got a full-time hardcore WordPress developer type on staff. And that crowd like Divi. And the reason why they like Divi or why they like Animator is that they don't have to have a full-time developer building custom blocks, and all the people that went after him, and I do understand, they're saying, well, you can do that. But then you look at the example, they were making JSON files, or they were making custom, and yeah, but that's not the crowd that Kevin talks to. Kevin talks to the Divi, the kind of Animator, the kind of quasi-professional crowd. But they're small agencies or the individuals. Do you think I'm on the right track there, Kim, or am I talking a load of nonsense? Be gentle, Kim.
I think it's like once you've captured a group that is comfortable with a tool, like they will see everything else as a challenge. They will see everything else as garbage, because their tool is so familiar to them. They don't need to, want to, like their dance card's full. Like they don't have space. So I think that is mostly these small agencies, because they are a shell team and they don't have extensive skills, and the way that they keep their profits low or high, and is to do like rinse and repeat projects, and clone of a different project for the next customer. So they're stuck to Divi. They're stuck to the tools that they use. I think it's also a theme problem, really, like block themes. You really need a block theme to be doubled in on the block editor. Like if you're using a classic theme, it's really hard to do what you need to do without another page builder like Divi. So, yeah.
It's sad Kurt's contribution has to come in through live comments.
He's been quiet because, he doesn't want...
Kurt, why do you still do this?
I'm trying to figure that out this episode.
Your own podcast, man. Come to the WP Minute. I'll publish it for you.
I told Jonathan I finally get to meet Matt on screen, and it's become the Matt show. I don't even know why I'm here.
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? But what do you reckon, Kurt, about what I've said about Kevin? Because he's got his own book of business, and he makes me look mild and mannered, doesn't he? That's saying something, isn't it? But at least I know I can be a prick, can't I? I admit it now. I could be a prick. Well, so can you, Matt. I mean, they can't win. So we all can be where we want to be. But I don't hold it again. I only hold it when people are really, really gunning for somebody and they're accusing you of stuff that you've never. And it's one of the problems with social media, but that's another topic. But get back to it. So do you think there's anything I've just outlined? Because I could see almost, Kurt, two different groups that were, what the hell is this group talking about? You can do this with, and the other people, well, we don't think we need to do all these things to do something that we can do in Debbie or doing something else. Can you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but my response is going to sound countercultural to everybody here. I just went live yesterday on a rant. I can't figure out why every inexperienced, non-successful membership site, learning site builder I speak to in the last fiscal quarter thinks they need some new whiz-bang tool or new feature when they have zero business, zero courses published, zero members in a site, zero income, zero revenue, and we're all struggling with all these tools to come up with some new gadget or plugin or something. Now, we make plugins and we generate revenue. I get it. I totally understand that model. But I think there's a lot going on in like a psychosis almost of like, Bricks does this and Elementor does that and Divi does this other thing. And I go back to, let's just put up a minimal viable product, push something out as a proof of concept, and see if you experience any success. If you make any sales, you can say that you've got something. But when you go, oh, my checkout page isn't right, or I wish my button was a different color, or I wish this was interactive, the problem isn't the platform or the tool you use to build the platform. The problem is your core product and your core offer. And I think the further we go down these paths, the more we mask this problem for people and creators, and we create our own kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy of doom, because we're giving people a crutch to say something else could be wrong other than their original offer or product. And so I think we need to drive back to simple. The more we drive back to simple, and that for that reason, that's why I like the Gutenberg and the full site editor. And, I'll give SkyPilot a kudo mention on the show. SkyPilot's awesome for this because it keeps things light and simple.
Oh, well, I like Cadence WP. So okay. There you go. So there we go. But Matt, in a way, I agreed with what Corey was saying and you when you were having your in a way, it's a bit of a shame, really, isn't it? Because I think I just don't. This is really a waste of energy. All this, really, isn't it? To all this. But
that is correct.
But I don't really understand how we've got. Is it mostly up to the philosopher king, really, to sort things out a bit? Really,
I mean, it is, and it is, right? It's something I've realized, and I know plenty of us have realized many, many years ago. It doesn't mean you give up. It doesn't mean it's wrong. We keep looking for change. Again, through a lot of his actions. Corey says, let's focus on the work. I agree. Let's focus on the work. These last few outbursts that I saw, especially the ones that personally attacked people, I don't need to talk. Like, I don't need Matt on the podcast. Happy to have him if we want to talk product or get his like input or something like that. But I'm not. I got to have Matt on.
It really put my ego back in the box because he approached to come on the WP-Tonic show and there was a bit of back and forth, and I thought, oh right, fair enough. I didn't, because I was in two minds ever ask him. First of all, I never thought he would come on because of my sarcastic comments that you pointed out, right? But then he asked, and then I thought, oh right, great, send him the question. He comes on the show, and then Kurt gives me a screenshot of post status that he said he only came on the show because he couldn't get onto the water cooler. That kind of put my ego back where it needs to be put, doesn't it? That put me where I should be put. But there we go. But so Kim, you're you're a bit, I can sense, then you've made some points where you've got to be you might want to be diplomatic. You're really not happy about the situation. Oh, we're going to wrap it up in a minute anyway, folks. So you're a little bit, because I'm not happy, but I sense that I'm unhappy. I don't know, I'm putting words in you. You think it's a little, I'm going to shut up now because I was
Get your thoughts. Let's kick it to Kim Coleman, go ahead.
Yeah, because I don't want to put words into your mouth, really, Kim. It's not right.
No, I mean, is this a question like, am I happy as a member of the WordPress community right now? Is that, maybe that's the question you want to ask me? Okay. It's challenging. I miss 10 years ago. I miss my first WordCamps. We all grew up and we have businesses now, and there's new people coming in, and it's very vague, like attending a WordCamp. There's people I don't want to run into. How weird is that? Right? There's people where I have had conversations with, and I'm just there's attending Matt's State of the Word or WordCamp US thing, and I'm just kind of wow, look what you have said to people who I care about. It's the relationships are different. I don't know. I want to step aside and let a new generation of WordPress community people enter, and I don't think we should have public drama that taints what that experience is. It's very US focused. It's very tiny when you really think about it. When you look at WordCamps all over the world and the positive experience they're putting out on their social media, it's that's the community I want to see, and I want to imagine we can get back to.
Well, we've only discussed one thing, but there was so much to discuss. I had to drop all the other stories. So, Kim, how can people find out? Thank you for coming on the show. I think it's been a great discussion. How can people find out more about you and what you're up to, Kim?
Best place is paidmembershipspro.com. It's a free open source plugin in WordPress.org. You can also find us in your WordPress admin. Search plugins, add new.
Don't use a zip file.
Don't use a zip file on a Mac.
And Matt, how can people find out more about what you're up to and your thoughts and everything?
gravityforms.com, gravityforms.com/breakdown. I do a podcast about Gravity Forms of the community every twice a month. And then the WP-Minute.com.
Yeah, and you've been producing some great stuff. I sense that you're a lot happier recently. I think you found your stride again.
Doing what I love.
Yeah. Always been supportive, Matt. But you're a bit spicy to me, but I'm a bit spicy to you. So
that's right. I bring it to the platform. This is the context for it.
But I think your heart's in the right place. Hopefully you think the same of me, because I really, it's just my English side, and I wish most people.
I've noticed a trend in English podcasts like the Tonic and WP Cafe. They just two guys that are just did you see this new thing in Gutenberg?
Well, I'm actually very supportive of Gutenberg, but we got to get it out the doors. It'll never be finished. No software project is ever finished, but there's certain stages, and because I just see it, a lot of people that got other things to do. It's not sustained, but it's tricky because I wish well for these pages. I don't wish them ill. I just think it's a lot of energy having to be spent in supporting all these different type of platforms. And I just don't see it sustainable in a way, but I might be wrong. Hopefully, this tribe, you really enjoyed this discussion. We will be back for another round. You're going to get 2 roundtable shows this one. And that will be in the normal panel will probably back. And I've got some fabulous guests as well. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Give us some feedback. Subscribe to the WP-Tonic YouTube channel, or otherwise I'm going to have to do cat videos. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. We really do appreciate it. Why not visit the Mastermind Facebook group? And also, to keep up with the latest news, click wp-tonic.com/newsletter. We'll see you next time.